Hello, I'm Reverend Kenny Callahan, the pastor of Metropolitan Community Church of Richmond. During Black History Month, I spend time each day reading about Black influential leaders in America. And I would like to share with you a powerful story from a sermon by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that I found in his book, The Knock at Midnight. Hear these words of Dr. King. My brother and I were driving one evening to Chattanooga, Tennessee from Atlanta. He was driving the car, and for some reasons, the drivers were very discourteous that night. They didn't dim their lights. Hardly any driver that passed by dimmed their lights. And I remember very vividly my brother A.D. looked over and in a tone of anger said, I know what I'm going to do. The next car that comes along here and refuses to dim their lights, I'm going to fail to dim mine and pour them all on in their power. And then I looked at him with a quick, quiet answer and said, oh no, don't do that. There'd be too much light on this highway, and it will end up in mutual destruction for all. Somebody got to have some sense on this highway. Somebody must have some sense enough to dim the lights. And that is the trouble, isn't it? That as all of the civilizations of the world move up in the highway of history, so many civilizations have looked at other civilizations that refused to dim the lights, and they decided to refuse to dim theirs too. And Toynbee tells that over the 22 civilizations that have risen up, all but about 7 have found themselves in the junk heap of destruction. It is because civilizations fail and they have a sense, and they don't have sense enough to dim their lights. As if somebody doesn't have sense enough to turn on the dim and beautiful, powerful lights of love in this world. The whole world of our civilization will be plunged into the abyss of destruction, and we will all end up destroyed because nobody had any sense on the highway of history. Somewhere, somebody must have some sense. People must see that force begets force, hate begets hate, toughness begets toughness, and it all is a descending spiral, ultimately ending in destruction for all and everybody. Somebody must have sense enough and morality enough to cut off the chain of hate and the chain of evil in the universe. And you do this by love. Martin Luther King reminds us that Jesus said, love your enemies, do good to those who hate, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who mistreat you. Jesus' teaching is not passive or letting someone walk all over you, but instead encourages us to gain the courage to resist evil with love. Loving others requires us to treat others in ways that resist evil. And as the beloved of God, we are called to live with courage and to resist evil by extending God's love. Loving as God loves is a lifestyle of nonviolence, resistance to oppression and marginalization of any kind. This is what it means to be people who are willing to turn the other cheek. People who break the cycle of violence by dimming their lights.